Now moving on to the next topic, that is fertilization. What do you understand by fertilization? Fertilization actually means the fusion of male and female gametes. The fusion of male and female gametes is called as what? It is called as the fertilization. And this fertilization is very important, because if this fertilization is not going to take place, we won't get the upcoming generation, okay, of that particular plant. Because if fertilization is not there, no seed, no fruit formation, no seed formation, and as a result what is going to happen? As a result, the generation is going to stop at that particular stage only, or that particular generation. The next generation won't be coming up. Now when we start with fertilization, fertilization, as I told you, is the fusion of male gamete and the female gamete. Male gamete means the male cell, and female gamete the egg cell. Okay, the egg cell, they fuse together, and then what is formed? Embryo is formed. What is formed? Embryo is formed. Now coming on to the process, the steps which are taking place in fertilization. First is germinating pollen tube. Now what is a pollen tube? You can see this tube. This is been called as pollen tube. What it is called as? It has been called as pollen tube. In this pollen tube, what is happening? First, the rupturing of the wall takes place. You know, two layers, two membrane was there, exine and intine. So the rupturing of this exine and intine takes place, and when the rupture is going to happen, there's an elongation. There's an elongation in the pollen grain, and that elongation is elongated part is called as pollen tube. What it is called as pollen tube. Now I have already told you that in this pollen, two nucleuses are there: tube nucleus and generative nucleus. Now this tube nucleus, actually after the emerging of pollen tube, after a certain stage it degenerates, means it disappears. Okay, this tube nucleus. Which nucleus? The tube nucleus. After a certain phase, development of pollen tube has taken place, and after some time this is going to degenerate. Then what is going to be left out? It is the generative nucleus which is being left out, and this generative nucleus further forms two male gametes. What does it form? It forms two male gametes. So don't get confused that if two male gametes are there, those two male gametes are coming from what? Those two male gametes are coming from tube nucleus and generative nucleus. No, it is only the generative nucleus which is giving rise to the male gametes. Tube nucleus disappears. Is that clear to you? So this is the structure of germinating pollen tube. Exine intine rupturing, nucleus getting divided into male gametes. Which nucleus? Generative nucleus. And tube nucleus, it degenerates. Is that clear to you? Now what is happening? Now it is containing two male gametes. Fine. Now what is the second step? Second step is that entry of pollen tube in the embryo sac. Okay, entry of pollen tube into the embryo. Now in embryo sac, what here? The pollen tube has it is getting. If you remember, I told you when I was explaining you the structure of ovule, there I told you one hole is present. That hole was called as micropyle. So from the micropyle, this pollen tube will enter into what? Into the embryo sac, containing what? Containing just two male gametes. Is that clear? So entry of pollen tube in the embryo sac is through what? It is through the micropyle. Okay, through the micropyle, that is the small hole. Fine. And when the pollen tube is going to enter this particular embryo sac, what will happen? Fertilization. And fertilization means what? Two male gametes were there. One male gamete plus one egg cell. Now you must be thinking, one male gamete has been left out. What happens to that? That one male gamete, it fuses with the central cell, or you can say that nuclei. How many polar nuclei were there? There were two polar nuclei. Is that clear? So in fertilization, what is happening? One egg cell is getting fused with one male gamete. That is the real fertilization. And the other one male cell fuses with the central cell or the two polar nuclei, and that is the other fertilization. So you can see here how many types of fertilization fertilization are taking place. It is two types of fertilization, and that is why it is called as double fertilization. What it is called as? Double fertilization. First fertilization means fusion of the egg cell with the male cell, okay, and second fusion of the male cell with the two polar nuclei. Fine. Now this is all about fertilization. After this, what is happening? After this fertilization, what is happening? The next step is, okay, now as I was telling you that after the fertilization, two fertilization have taken place. One male gamete fusing with the one egg cell to form the embryo. Then first one male cell fuses with the polar nuclei, and polar nuclei can be also referred as secondary nucleus. See, so it is like two terms are there: secondary nucleus, central cell. Central cell means cell which is present in the center, having nuclei, or it can be also called as secondary nucleus. Now, after the fusion of first one, we get an embryo. After the fusion of the second one, we get endosperm, and it is triploid. Triploid means what? Triploid means it contains 3 cells. You may understand, one cell from here and 2 cells from here. So, how many cells are there? 3 cells. So, endosperm is formed, and that is why it is all triple fusion. What it is called as? Triple fusion. So if it is asked what is triple fusion? Triple fusion is fusion of one male gamete with the two polar nuclei is known as triple fusion, and the resultant after is endosperm, which we can call it as a triploid endosperm also, because it is made up of 3 cells. Is that clear? Now what is the work of this endosperm? This endosperm is found around the embryo. It is found around the embryo, and it provides what? It provides nutrition, because embryo is a living structure. It needs food to survive. So from where it is getting that food? It is getting that food from the endosperm. It gets its food from the endosperm. Is that clear? So this was all about the process of fertilization. Now after fertilization, what happens to the other floral parts? Because this is only the ovary which is taking the main part. After fertilization, ovary changes into what? Ovary changes into fruit. And what happens to the ovule? Ovule changes into seed. So we can also say that fruit is what? Mature ovary, and seed is what? Mature ovule. Because mature what? Because after fertilization only we are getting that. We are not getting it before fertilization. We are getting it after the process of fertilization. Now what happens to the other parts? Ovary. Now there are many more parts in a flower. Calyx is there, corolla is there. Okay, what is happening to them? In that, calyx may all either shrivel, or it may dry, and it may fall, or it may even remain attached. Okay, calyx is getting dried up, shriveling. Shriveling means shrunken. It becomes small in size, loses its green color, and either it is going to fall down or it will remain attached. Like in guavas, it remain attached. Okay, petal, stamen, style and stigma all are falling. All are falling. Is that fine? Now ovary enlarges to form fruit, and ovule becomes the seed and remain attached to the placenta. Is that clear? Is that clear to you or not? So this is the fate. Here what is only remaining? Only the ovary remains and the ovule remains. Rest all the things are getting disappeared. Rest all things, because if you remember, suppose if I draw the structure of the pistil or the carpel, what was it? It was the stigma. Stigma received the pollen grain. After that, this pollen grain grew into what? Pollen tube, and it is that it reaches to ovary part where egg cell was present. Now this stigma, this style, everything is going to disappear. Only this much part is going to remain. It is going to rest. All the things are going to disappear. Is that clear to you? Now moving on with the next topic, that is fruit. Now moving on with the fruit topic. Fruit is what? Fruit is a ripened ovary, and this ripened ovary we are getting after the process of fertilization. We won't get it before fertilization. When the fertilization has taken place, after fertilization we will get the fruit, and fruit is what? Mature ripened ovary. It is a mature ripened ovary. Now fruit is divided into two parts: pericarp and seed. Pericarp and the seed. Now pericarp here is further further divided into three parts, and these three parts are not mentioned in your book. Epicarp, or we also call it exocarp, is the outer covering, the thick covering which we generally remove in the fruits. Okay, which are generally removing in the fruits. That covering is known as your epicarp or exocarp. It is a thick covering. We remove it, like in oranges we are removing it, but in guava it is very thin and it is edible also. It is edible. Then comes mesocarp. Mesocarp means the middle area. Okay, the pulpy area which we eat. Okay, without removing the exocarp or with the exocarp, the portion which contains the maximum amount of flesh, that is the mesocarp. Then the center position where seed is present. Okay, where we find the seed, like right now there is a season of, this is the season of mangoes, so we are removing the covering of mango. What it is exocarp. We are eating the pulpy part, it is the mesocarp, and in center we have one seed, and that is the endocarp. So pericarp is divided into how many parts? Three parts: epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. Exocarp means, epicarp means the outer covering, mesocarp means middle, endocarp means the center. Now what happens to the seed? It remains attached to the ovary with the placenta. Is that clear to you? So it was just we were talking about fruit, but what happens sometimes? Okay, sometimes the thalamus, do you remember thalamus, receptacle? Thalamus also changes into fruit. Now this kind of fruit is called as false fruit. What it is called as? It has been called as the false fruit. When the receptacle or the thalamus, it develops into a fruit. Like apple is the very good example of it. False fruit. What kind of fruit? False fruit, because it is not developing from the ovary. Those fruits which are developing from the ovary will be called as true fruits, and the ones who are developing from the receptacle or the thalamus, they are being called as false fruit. And I told you the example is apple. So this was all the explanation about the fruit. Is that clear to you? Now moving on to the next topic, that is seed. Now we have discussed what is a fruit. Okay, what it is, how many parts of fruits are there. I told you two parts of fruits are there. Now importance of fruit. If it is there, it is occurring in a plant, it should have some importance. Now what are the importance? It protects the immature seed, because seed is found inside the fruit. So, and you know, seed is a one which gives rise to the upcoming generation, to the next generation. So what is the first important function of fruit? It protects the immature seed. Is that immature because the seed is not fully developed? Fine. Then what happens? Second one, immature fruit protects seed from animals. See what happens when immature means not raw, which is not ripened. Those fruit which are not fully ripened and they are still raw, and if you eat them, do you get the same taste when it is the same? The taste is similar as ripened one? No. Taste will be little bitter, not palatable, not eating, like you don't feel like eating. Like guava also you take, or mango you take. Okay, the raw mangoes are so sour in taste. No, means few people only like, otherwise maximum people avoid it. And when that mango gets ripened, it becomes so sweet. So this immature fruit is also protecting seed from animals, because immature fruit, that definitely animals also won't come, or the birds also don't eat that fruit, and in that case what is happening? Protection of seed is taking place. Third one, mature fruit attracts insects because of its smell, its taste. Okay, if the animal has eaten that fruit and it liked the taste, again and again they will visit to that plant. And when the animal is going to visit to that plant, what is the chances? Seed dispersal chances are more and more. If birds are eating it, then also, because seed, it is not digestible, it is given out in the excreta. Excreta means the waste. What is the meaning of excreta? The waste product. It is not digestible, so it is coming out in the excreta. So that is why they are one of the fruit is one of the factors which is helping in what? Seed dispersal. And when fruits dry up, what happened? Dry up, when they are totally dry, nobody has consumed it, they fully mature, they themselves will burst and help in scattering of the seed. So these are the four importance of fruit in a plant life. Protection of immature seeds. Immature fruit protects the seed from animals. Mature fruit attracts insects for what process? For the process of seed dispersal. And when fruit itself is getting dried up and it burst opening leads to what? Dispersal of the seed. Is that clear? So this is completing the entire functioning of fruit and it's important. Now moving on to the last topic, that is seed. Okay, starting with the seed topic. Seed is what? It is ripened ovule, and ripened mature ovule, and that again and again this term is very important. You cannot skip it out. You cannot write seed is a ovule. No, you have to mention the term ripened ovule. Is that clear? Mature ripened ovule. Now what does it contain? It contains one embryonic plant. Embryonic plant means a plant, embryo which is further going to develop into a plant, and if it is going to develop in a plant, it should have two things, plumule and radicle. Is that clear? So what is a seed? It is a ripened ovule, contains what? Embryonic plant. Embryonic plant is important term over here. So it contains embryonic plant with plumule and the radicle. Is that fine? Now how does seed formation takes place? You know that first what is happening? Fusion of female gamete took place. After the fusion, what happened? We got the first cell, that is zygote. After two cells fuse together to make up one cell, and that one cell is called as zygote. After zygote, repeated division, we get the embryo. After that, embryo is having what? It is having radicle and plumule. All of you are knowing that radicle develops into what? Radicle is developing into root, and plumule is developing into what? Plumule is developing into shoot. Is that clear to you? So it is after the embryo contains radicle and plumule. Radicle gives rise to root and plumule give rise to shoot. It is always the radicle which is emerging out first, not the plumule. It is always the radicle which emerges out first. Then primary endosperm was there, isn't it? You remember that triple fusion was taking place, one male cell with two polar nuclei giving rise to endosperm. And endosperm function was what? Endosperm function was to give nutrition to the growing embryo. Now primary endosperm will change into endosperm, which contains lot of food in it. What happens? This endosperm remains only in the endospermic seed, especially in the grains like maize grain, okay, rice grain, wheat grain. There only you will find this particular endosperm. Otherwise it disappears. Only in endospermic seed like maize, I told you, best example maize. In maize you will find the endosperm because their cotyledons are absent. Rest in all the dicot seed, you will be having what? You will be having cotyledons. You will be a dicot, monocot. They will be having cotyledons. And this endosperm, what does it do? This endosperm is actually giving its endosperm is giving all its stored food to the cotyledons. Okay, it gives it to the cotyledons. Now the seed contains cotyledons plus radicle plus plumule. Okay, now then it will, as I told you, it is in the case of non-endospermic seed. Which seed? Non-endospermic seed. If it is endospermic seed, endosperm will remain. What will be missing? Cotyledon will be missing. If it is endospermic seed. But if it is non-endospermic seed, cotyledons will be there, radicle will be there, and plumule will be there. And the growing embryo will get its food from where? From the cotyledons. It will get all its food from the cotyledons. Is that clear to you? So if you read in the book there, it's given the zygotes divide repeatedly. I told you to form the embryo. Embryo consists of root-like radicle and stem-like plumule, and one or two leaf-like cotyledons. So what is happening? That is why I told you a primary endosperm change into endosperm, and after that endosperm, it is endospermic seed. Endosperm will remain. If it is non-endospermic, what will come there? Leaf-like structure, that is cotyledons, which are storing the food. The endosperm nucleus, after repeated division, form the endosperm. The ovule becomes the seed and its two integument from the seed coat. Now if you remember, in the view structure I told you about integuments. Two integuments were there. So what are those two integuments forming? Those two integuments are forming what? They are forming the seed coat. And seed coat is of two types, testa and tegumen, okay, which we'll be discussing in the upcoming chapter. So you have to understand from where we get this seed coat, from the two integuments of what? From the two integuments of the ovule. Is that clear? The endosperm persists in endospermic seed. In non-endospermic, it is absorbed by the developing embryo and food is stored in the cotyledons. Again, at this point I have already explained to you, if endospermic seed, what will be missing? Cotyledon will be missing, radicle and plumule will be there. If non-endospermic, cotyledons come up, okay, they store the food with radicle and plumule, and endosperm is being dissolved, or it is getting absorbed by whom? It is getting absorbed by the growing embryo. Is that clear to you? Now what is the significance? If you see the last topic given over there, significance. Seed, as you know, it is one of the most important factor to give rise to what? To the next generation. Seed is the beginning of new generation. Seed represents a miniature plant with adequate supply of reserve food. What is the reserve food? Reserve food is either cotyledon or the endosperm. Endospermic seed, endosperm, non-endospermic seed, cotyledons. Okay. So it is containing reserve food to be used at the time of germination. Now this food, this stored food plays a very major role in the time of germination. The seed is means of perennation to tide over the unfavorable climatic conditions. Now what it is doing? Seed is in fact protecting the embryo from all the unfavorable conditions, okay, because inside the seed embryo is protected inside, because seed coat is there. Seed coat is protecting the embryo inside it. Endosperm is also protecting and giving food also to the embryo, and soon when germination starts, after that embryo changes, first gives out the radicle which forms the root, and it gives out the plumule which forms the shoot. Is that clear to you? Here it's written stem, but stem is wrong. Actually stem means only the stem. No, it gives rise to entire shoot. There is a difference between stem and shoot. They both are not the same. Shoot means a part which is having stem also, branches also, leaves also. That is a shoot. And when we say stem, then only we are talking about one stem. Is that clear? So with this we have finished our first semester portion. Again I am telling you, your questions which you have to do will be uploaded on the school website from chapter 1 to chapter 4, which all questions. Don't, if you have done any questions, no problem, okay, then you have to do your summer assignment in the lab manual which has been provided to you, and then you have to do the workbook also, the 4 chapters, that is fertilization, flower, then tissues and cell. These 4 chapters you have to cover up in your workbook. You may not get all the answers, so do not worry. Those answers which are easily you are getting, you write it. Otherwise whatever is left out, we'll be discussing it in the class. So thank you class for attending today's session.